So what's your problem? What do you want to talk about?
Relationships.
Not that again. Huh?
The tough one in Chabad.
That's a good one. I know what I want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? Really, what's on the agenda? What do you talk about when nobody's around?
I don't know. This might be too controversial.
Oh, good.
So, like, I sometimes feel like there is a split between Chabad and other parts of the Torah world, and it upsets me because we're all Jews. And I just want to know, like, what you think of the situation in ways that I could help me get over it.
Well, there's a split because we're special. Actually, Chabad has always been a bit of an enigma to the frum world. We seem to have a better understanding with non-frum people than we do with frum people. And that's because of one simple difference in philosophy. A Jew is a Jew because of his neshama, because a Jewish soul is a little piece of God, and there's nothing you can do about it. So this philosophy, the Jewishness of the Jew, every non-frum person understands very well. Because every person who is not observant will insist and will tell you, I'm just as Jewish as you, even if I don't keep all the rituals. Exactly right. But people who are frum feel that there is a difference. You're as Jewish as you are frum. And that's a bridge we can't seem to, or a gulf that we can't seem to bridge. So that's one basic difference. The other thing is, and this we really should talk about, seeing Judaism as a religion is a mistake. Being observant, doing mitzvahs, is not practicing a religion. It's just being true to yourself. You know, you ask a non-Jew, what is your religion? He says, I don't know, I'm Christian. You say, and what were you before you became Christian? He says, nothing. To a Jew, that doesn't compute. What do you mean nothing? You can be nothing. Yes, you can be nothing. In other words, you can be a human being without religion. That's the nature of religion. But being Jewish is not like that. What were you before you were frum? Jewish. And what are you now? So this whole emphasis on religiosity is a mistake. And it causes a lot of problems, not between Chabad and other religious people, but between non-religious and religious, particularly in Israel. The gulf is so intense, it's scary. So one of the things that we don't see eye to eye with in a frum person is that I don't consider myself frum. I don't want to be frum. I can't relate to frum people. A Jew who's keeping 10 mitzvahs is being Jewish, right? If he's keeping 613, he's still Jewish and there's nothing he can do about it. You can't become more Jewish, just like you can't become less Jewish. So having this heated discussion with a Reform rabbi, and he says, why aren't you more tolerant? We're all practicing the same religion. I said, that's what I got a problem with. You're too religious for me. and I mean that. Let me give you a good example. The Rebbe started this project in 1967 of stopping men in the street and asking them to put on tefillin. Right? The tefillin campaign. Here's how it works. This little boy from yeshiva, 15-year-old, stops a man in the street and says, excuse me, are you Jewish? The guy says, yeah. And the boy says, would you like to put on tefillin? The guy says, no. And the boy says, oh, it's a big mitzvah. The guy says, yeah, I'm sure it is, but I'm not religious. The boy says, but it only takes a minute. The guy says, whatever, but I'm not religious. The guy says, you know, the Rebbe said that this helps Jews in Israel. He says, don't you hear what I'm saying? I'm not religious. The boy rolls up his sleeve, takes out the tefillin, and says, say the bracha, Baruch. The guy says, you know, I really shouldn't do this. I'm not religious. No, say Baruch. The guy starts saying Baruch, and he makes the bracha, and halfway through he starts to cry. That's the typical. Now let's understand the lack of communication. The guy says, I shouldn't put on tefillin. I'm not religious. The boy says, it only takes a minute. You're not listening. I'm not religious. The guy said, oh, it's a big mitzvah. So what are you talking about? The guy is thinking, I'm sure you put on tefillin, and you should, because you're religious. And I envy you. I admire you for your faith. But I'm not religious, so I shouldn't be putting on the tefillin. The boy says, only takes a minute. So why are they not communicating? It's because this Lubavitcher boy never heard of the notion of a religious Jew. And that's why when he stopped the guy, he didn't say, excuse me, are you religious? He said, excuse me, are you Jewish? I asked you if you're Jewish, you said yes. So here's your tefillin. He said, but I'm not religious. I didn't ask you. See, the guy is thinking, this boy puts on tefillin because he's religious. And that's not true. This kid puts on tefillin because he's a Jew. He doesn't think of himself as religious. He doesn't even want to be religious. In fact, he finds it very hard to communicate with people who are religious. So that's why when the guy says, I'm not religious, it goes right over his head. He says, I'm not talking about religion. Here's your tefillin. So where do people get this notion that if you start observing and if you start doing mitzvahs, you become something? What do you become? A woman said, if I go to the mikveh, what will I become? I said, wet. What are you expecting to become? You're Jewish now, you'll be Jewish after the mikveh too, I promise you. So, the misunderstanding between Chabad and religious people is because we're not religious. We don't think religious. We just think Jewish. Right? And really, that is the message. The message is, at Har Sinai, there was not a single Orthodox Jew. You realize that? When God spoke to us at Mount Sinai, there wasn't a single Orthodox Jew there. So the Torah was given to non-Orthodox people. How they became Orthodox, I don't know when that happened. And the truth is that it's almost blasphemous to say Orthodox or religious, because you're implying that being a Jew is not enough.